So this is the second video of like the reality of I am now currently unhoused, and um, there's another reality that's always been there, but it's just being kind of severed from my family. It's the undertone has always been there. The words, the expressions, they've always been there. Um, um, so it's not as if this wasn't foreshadowed. It's not as if I didn't see this, but it's still, once the reality of it occurs, it really hurts. And so when my father said, I want your key back, like your key back to this house. I've had that key since I was a kid. So it was always like, oh, if you're ever, like even when I had my own house, it's like, if you need something, oh, and we're not home, of course you can like come on in and grab it up. Or if you ever come here, and we're not around, like you have a key to our house. So them asking for the key back is, yeah, that's a pretty firm statement that, when I was sitting and talking with him, oh goodness, it would be like over a month ago now. And I said, if you want me separated from this family, that's what you're alluding to, but you haven't said it, in plain words to me. Like, may I ask, like, is that what you desire? So that way I have I have closure to it, and I have the clarity. So I'm not, then I'll just move forward. And you know what I mean? But you'd have to let me know that this is your desire. And he got really angry with me, and he kept saying, that's pretty rude of you, you put it in your perspective. And he said, you don't think about our perspective, and for you to say that we're trying to cut you off from our family, are you trying to cut yourself off from this family? Anyways, but when he was saying those things, I remember thinking, oh goodness, it couldn't be more obvious that that's what he's doing. He's just unable to actually vocalize it. I think he feels like that if he vocalizes it, it'll make him look terrible. And I remember thinking, oh goodness, but this is what I have to prepare for. It's not what the person is saying, but it's what they're communicating. And so anyway, so the asking for the key back was kind of that solidifying, but it just provides a lot of closure. And it just, I guess the only thing I can really say is it hurts. I really wish I had better words for it, but it hurts. And I wouldn't say I feel betrayed, because I feel like I can be betrayed by words. People can speak to the right and walk to the left, but I'm never betrayed by actions. It was easy to discern, but also this has been like when somebody ignores you or is passive aggressive to you for, a long period of time. It's they're communicating in a level that exceeds more than words could say. And so anyway, so that is what it is. And so I don't feel betrayed. And even if this caught me by surprise, I'm just gonna keep focusing on the Lord, in all honesty. I love them, and I respect their choices. I respect their decisions. I would prefer to handle this differently. I'd prefer to have proper communication. I'd prefer to have transparency. I'd prefer that any passive aggressiveness was not there. I'd prefer that, regardless of how difficult it is to say things, that those things would be brought to the surface, and then everybody could be accountable for their own actions. Those are things that I prefer. Those are things that I can bring forth in the future. But right now I can't control anybody else. And I'll be respectful to their choices and their decisions. And so that's just where I'm at now. But it hurts. And even just talking about this for, oh goodness, this video was 4 minutes, and the last video I think was about 10 minutes. So for 15 minutes, it has done a world of difference. It's kind of like a pot, the lid is starting to vibrate because the steam is building up beneath it. And then you lift the pot up a little bit, or the lid up a little bit, and the steam comes out. That's the way I feel, just from this little bit of sharing here. Because otherwise, oh goodness, like I said, my shoulders felt really weak. It literally felt like I got punched in my sternum, and punched really hard, and lost my breath. And yeah, so anyway, so this is something. And I remember in the original videos, I was actually here at this park, and I was talking about abuse. And I was sharing about what my cousin was so kind, and I think very brave to share. And she shared about with her um, with her her ex-husband, but she was sharing with me about different things that were happening. So like these were, like she could sense something, she could discern something, but she'd go to talk to him about it, and he'd get very angry and he'd lash out at her and call her names and different labels. And since she was saying, I was feeling like I was going crazy, it was like he was telling me, you're crazy for thinking this way. It couldn't, like, like you're just, you think you hear from God, you don't hear from God, you're just paranoid, all these different things. And then she said, and then when the reality of everything came up, it turned out, so he got the woman pregnant, and then he told her that he was going to move in with her and to raise that child with her, and like to leave like her and her the two children he had with her. And she said like she collapsed within herself, and she said it hit her like a ton of bricks. And that's when she made some some choices in the moment to do things that could be fatal, well, intended to be fatal to herself. And that's why I think this is wonderful to be able to share this in this moment. Oh goodness, it hurts. Oh goodness, it really hurts. But it feels wonderful to be able to express it. It hurts. And I'm going to talk about the way it can inspire you to feel in a moment here. But we're keep on track with my cousin. And then she said that when she was sitting there with her back against the wall in the bathroom, and she was kind of fading away, she said that he looked at her and there was like a demon behind his eyes, and he smiled at her and he said, you brought this on yourself. That's the way I feel also in this situation, although my father didn't say those words to me, but it's just like the coldness, the complete distance. And we have had conversations where he has looked me in the eyes and said things that are quite similar, and I do see that demon behind his eyes. And that's why I brought up, like, I did the what I am learning, I believe it was classified in that category, but and I called it like when you're being ignored, or is it when someone's being not invasive, but you're being excluded. And so that's an example of how like these things play out when you're ignored behind closed doors, but out in public, it's a performance. Like that person puts on a performance, but then they can be very like cold and dismissive to you, and just it hurts. That hurts as well. But there's a spirit behind that that's not of God, and I think it's wonderful to bring these things out into the open. You know. Oh goodness, like just so they're revealed in their fullness, because I believe there's many folks that are like dealing with these and experiencing these attacks, and like being excluded, being maybe mistreated by certain individuals, then around other people. Those people are super nice and super friendly and super outgoing, and then you can see, okay, there's a lot of deception that's occurring. And also too, we'd have to ask ourselves the question, in God's kingdom, are there performances? In God's kingdom, are there actors and actresses? In the kingdom of darkness, where there's deception, where there's illusions and delusions, are there actors and actresses? In God's kingdom, are there spectators, or do you have to be all in all the time? In the kingdom of darkness, are you able to be a spectator or a bystander, or is it all in all the time? So these are really good things to talk about, but they're really difficult to get out. They're really difficult to bring up to the surface, and especially like going through these things, it's really difficult. Like I'm blessed right now to have, first and foremost, this platform, where all these things have built up like a crescendo. And so there's like like you can see it from point A to point B to point C. Well, virtually this would be like a point G, H, I had to think there about the alphabet. But anyways, so you can see the progression of it. And um, it's a wonderful learning lesson, but they're going to be very, very difficult to learn from, because the reality of these things can be very, very difficult. They can reveal to you, that somebody that you admire, somebody that you really love and care about, is actually has two personalities. And if they have two personalities and they claim the name of Jesus, can they really have a relationship with the Lord? Can you have that dualism? You know, um, or somebody you really care about is going through harsh rejection, or going through a period of being unhoused. um, you know these things are really difficult. It's easy to talk about these things when you're talking about somebody else's daughter, somebody else's friend, somebody who's we're saying on the other side of that tree line, somebody that you don't really know. But when it comes to people that I find one of the hardest realities, or one of the more difficult realities to this, is to consolidate that this is actually occurring um, with somebody that and you have experience with. And then it can challenge your belief system, the belief system that has been erected, the belief system that has been created about that person, and the thoughts and the opinions that you've had about them. These things can really have an impact, similar to like a sledgehammer going against like a wall, and they can bring down that wall where you're thinking, oh my goodness, I thought things were this way, and now I'm realizing with evidence they're actually not this way, they're like that way. But also, what is truth now? What was spoken that was truth in the past that now could everything be faulty, or was it just certain things? Anyways, it can be rather difficult to face. It is very difficult to face, and difficult to comprehend. But I think it's very important, because the reality or the actuality of these situations has to be brought to the surface in order for proper solutions to come about, or people just to be able to properly process what is taking place. And so I'm going to cut this video short too. I'll do another one. And I'm going to talk about how I feel, but I've noted that my feelings are, like I mentioned with the illustration of the pot and lifting up the lid. A lot of the steam has been released, and because a lot of the steam has been released, I feel, oh goodness, like it hurts. It still hurts, but the residual effect of that hurt is very minimal.